I want you to turn your Bibles, and I think this will be on the screen as well. The source of this idea of responsibility to God. There are three elements: responsibility to God, responsibility to others, and self-sacrifice. And it is upon those points that this nation has been built, and it is upon those points that it will sustain if we insist upon it. Look in your Bibles, Matthew chapter 22, verse 37. Here Jesus says, in very clear terms, in response to a question someone asked him, trying to trap him, trying to trick him, said, what's the most important commandment? What's the greatest one of all? And here's the answer. Jesus said, you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all of your soul, and all of your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. Let me ask you something. Those of you seated here who call yourselves followers of Jesus Christ, you call yourselves, by my terms, citizens of faith. What part of all do we not quite get? All heart, all soul, all mind, focused upon a love of God. We are the army. We are the army which must conform ourselves to the standard of the commander-in-chief, and he has said the way we get at this thing of citizenry of faith is by our focus upon our love and devotion to this transcendent Creator God through our understanding of Him in Jesus Christ. Compare yourself to that standard. I'm going to tread on some sacred ground now. Do the people that know you, with whom you work outside of this place, do they know by the light in your eye, the words spoken from your mouth, that which animates your person, that the love of your life is Jesus Christ, or that the love of your life is a college football team? I know the answer, and so do you. Compare yourself to the standard of your master and commander and ask yourself, what's really wrong with this nation? It won't be far from home. This matter of all, it speaks to a desperation for God, doesn't it? A desire for God that supersedes anything else in our lives. Do you remember the day in your life when you were a kid, when you decided that summer that you were going off the high diving board? You know, the 10-foot platform. Probably bragged about it to your friends all the way to the pool that day. Today's the day. I'm going up. I'm going off. It's going to be great. And then you got to the pool, and you looked up at that high platform, and you said, as you swallowed kind of deeply, oh, that's not too high. And you climbed the ladder with great confidence. And then when you got to the top of that 10-foot platform and you looked down at the water, you said, someone lied to me. This isn't 10 feet, that's 5 miles. But because you had already bragged about it, there was no way you could go back down the ladder, right? That's not happening. Because your friends are down there, they're looking at you. So your fear is only slightly outweighed by your personal pride, and you walk to the end of the board, and just decide this is it. I may die, but that's what's going to happen. I'm going off the board. And you dive off. I did that. And it was over in an instant. I made it. And I was grateful for just a fraction of a second. I was grateful that I lived through it. But what I didn't account for was physics. Mass and volume. And then if you dive off of a high platform, you will dive deeper under the water than you have ever been before in your life. And the problem is, in my excitement of the moment, I forgot to take a breath. So as I reached the bottom of that dive, deeply underwater, I realized I needed to breathe. And there was no air. And it was becoming a desperate thing. Not only had I not taken a breath, it was all gone before I hit the water. So now I'm 10 to 12 feet under, looking up at this shimmer above my head, trying to get there, pushing and clawing and grabbing, until finally my head emerges from that surface, my lungs about to burst, and the first thing I did when I got into that open air was to turn to my friends and say, "Hey, did you see that? It's pretty good, huh?" Now, you know what happened next. I reached for that for which I was most desperate. I needed air more than I needed anything else in my life. And I want to say to you, those of you who are followers of Jesus Christ assembled in this room this day, until that becomes, loving God becomes the most desperate thing in our lives, we will lose this nation. Love God with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your mind.